This lesson is on patterns and graphing. This data table shows the total rainfall in inches over the last 5 months at Sunshine Elementary. So here's a question for you. How can we take this data and visually represent it on a graph? That's your task. In this example, the table shows the growth of a plant over a period of several days. When our data table is horizontal like this, it means that our x data is on the top, or our x-coordinate, and our y-coordinate is on the bottom. So I need to take that information and graph it. Well, I need to make sure that my graph is appropriately labeled. So how do I figure out what numbers to count by on the x-axis and the y-axis? Well, I go to my data table. I can see that for the x-axis, the highest number I go to is a 9. So I don't need to go much beyond that. And the same thing with the y-axis. It goes up to 14, and as I count by 2's over here, I can get up pretty high, but I don't really need to go that far beyond 14. Now, you can choose to count by 2's or 1's, or you may count by 3's or 5's, or even 10's. It really depends on the data that's in your data table. Once my coordinate grid is set up, all I need to do now is take these ordered pairs and graph them over here. So if you look, here's an ordered pair of 1, 4. 1 is on my x-axis, 4 is on my y-axis. So going over here to the graph, I would come in over 1, and I would go up 4. Now remember, I'm counting by 2's here. So when I go up this, that's 2, and that's 4. So 1, 4, and then I plot that point. Then I plot all the rest of the points along the way, and I use a ruler to draw and connect the dots. Here's a graph showing how far and how quickly a jet car can travel. I've got one point right here that I don't have a y value for. I know that I've come over 5, but how far did I go up? This is my 0 point. How far did I go up? If you said 200 meters, you are correct. And on the right here, I do have the data table all set with my x values and my y values, or my x coordinate and my y coordinate. Here's another graph where we're taking a look at the weight of an elephant based on its age. And you can see that, of course, as the elephant gets older, the elephant gets heavier. So we're moving to the right is our age, and moving up is the weight, and it's getting larger as we go up. But we're missing a y value right here. We see that at the age of 18 months, the elephant weighs how many pounds? If you said 1,500 pounds, you are correct. We're over 18, up 1,500. It's right there. And you can see it filled in right here. So these are our x values, and these are our y values. Our x coordinates and our y coordinates on this data table right here. So this is another representation. Here's our data table, but this is what the graph looks like visually. And you can see how as time goes by, the elephant rapidly gains weight. This brings us back to our original problem. Here we have a data table showing the rainfall at Sunshine Elementary over a period of 5 months. And this is the total rainfall in inches. So how did you visually represent this data? Let's take a look. Here's the beginning of my graph. I chose as my title Sunshine Elementary Rainfall, which is just a take on the title that's already there in the data table. I labeled my x-axis, the month, and I labeled my y-axis, total rainfall in inches, right here. Notice I set my interval as I counted by 1's on the x-axis because that's what the x-axis does over here, or the x-coordinates. Now I counted by 2's over here and didn't skip any spaces because I needed to get all the way up to 14, and if I counted by 1's, I wouldn't be able to do that. So all that's left now is to graph each individual data point. And so here are those points graphed on the grid. All I need to do now is connect each point to each other. And so here we have the graph completed, including the lines that connect each of those points. We try to draw those lines as straight as possible between each point. We don't want any curves. And so this line right here represents this data in the data table. I hope you enjoyed this lesson on patterns and graphing.